Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. In this video, I want to talk about social media and letting people go. The reason why is because there's been something building up in me for a long time, and it finally came to a head over the last few days. And I just want to share that experience with you and share some things that I've found that general authorities have said when it comes to friends and letting friends go. So let me first say, I think that social media is a really good thing. It allows for me to do YouTube videos as well as other really good members of the church that have their podcasts and YouTube channels. And I think that's really great. You know, on a personal level with our Facebook accounts and Instagram and Snapchat and whatever, I think that you can be a really good example and influence to other people. You know, you can literally share your testimony. You can like write up a post and share your testimony, which I know that people do. You can also just bear your testimony simply by showing people the way that you live and sharing with them the things that you believe, you know, sharing gospel related content. Social media is a really good way to, it's like another way to hear from church leadership because they have their social media posts, and there's some things that you only find in their social media posts. I have a collection of things that were uniquely and only shared on social media. Some pretty eye-opening things, actually. And so I find it of great worth. I would never, you know, get off of Facebook or Instagram. I'm just not going to do it because I think there's too much good. But then on the other hand, there's a lot of bad. You know, before social media, if you wanted to show off, you know, if you're trying to get attention, validation, praise, a following, you would have to, like, say that you wanted to show off how much you make. You may have to invite people over to your house so they can see your house, your toys, the nice things that you own. So maybe you'll throw like a party or just invite people over to your house. So you'd have to like resort to those kind of things. And people still do that. But before social media, that's what you would have to do, or find some kind of way to share how amazing your house is. Um, or maybe you went on a trip, you know, you'd pull somebody aside, somebody that's visiting you at your house, and like, hey, look at my picture album. Look at these pictures that I had printed out because digital photos don't exist yet. And I just had my film developed, and look at these photos of my trip to wherever, you know. But social media, it makes it a lot easier to show off just how amazing you are, whether it's wealth or maybe your body, or it could be how smart you are or the awards that you've won. There's like an endless array of things that you can be prideful about and try and show people. But with social media, it makes it so easy because you just take a picture of yourself or a video or whatever, and then you can share it with virtually everybody that you know that's also on Facebook, including people from the past. And that's going to be a big motivator for some people because it's like, oh, you know, remember back in high school? Well, things have really changed. Look at me now. Or remember back in high school, we were all equal. Well, not now. And it's disgusting. It's awful. You know, it's the natural man. It's terrible. Not that like there isn't appropriate ways to celebrate your success. I think that success should be celebrated, but you know that some people have this like deep rooted desire for people to see and know just how amazing they are. It's narcissism. So there's, you know, and there's other bad things. There's scams, and there's people that may misuse your information somehow. There's different possibilities. So there's like a dark side to social media too. So what happened was this is kind of how how it's played out for me. The first person that I let go, that I unfriended, was somebody from, you know, my singles ward days, someone that was a member of the church and she was great. She was fun and just such a nice person. And we were only ever really acquaintances. So I don't know what happened. I guess I never heard the story, or I don't remember her sharing it on social media. But at some point, or some part along the way, she fell away from the church and became very, very, very bitter. One day, she just started posting like things against the church, your typical like anti-church type of stuff that you see. And I was like, what is going on? And I noticed that she would like try and like interact with me because I've always been, I think, very strong with my, well, not strong, but like I've always like shared my beliefs on social media. She knew that I was like good, and I had a conviction in what I believed in. And so maybe I was like a target, I don't know. And I think things took off once I started my channel. But she would like interact with me on my posts in like a positive way, sometimes questioning, but nothing like too bad. But it did feel like she was trying to uh like bait me to like go over to her post and like engage with her, argue with her. And I was not going to do that because that's not what I do. I talk about principles, to a broad audience. I talk about what I know is right, but I don't like to like zero in on individuals or groups, name drop them. You do need to stand up for truth, and you do need to address things that are being said, but I think you can do it in an indirect way, and that's my approach. That's what I do. So I didn't engage with her, and over time, whether it was because of me, probably not because of me, but just over time, she just became more and more just like enraged and almost like obsessed. And I've seen that from time to time. People that just like when they leave, they just can't let it go, and it's like they are actively, in their own way, trying to destroy the church in any way that they can. So it got to such a point where it just became ridiculous, and I started having the thought, you know, if we're friends, and it's not just me, there were other people that are her friends. If we're friends, if you're friends with these other people, like you're being very, very disrespectful toward our beliefs. You're just being openly hostile. So are these your friends? I don't treat my friends like that. I never actively persecute somebody else's beliefs or anything like that. So it got to a point where I was just like, okay, I tried to be long suffering, and I'm just like, it's done. I'm sorry. I didn't like let her know ahead. I just unfriended her. I'm just like, okay, that's enough. Enough already. I can't witness this anymore. Not that it was like affecting my testimony. Like I really have a strong testimony, but it was too much, like seeing how far she had fallen. So that happened. Okay, that was like I don't know how long ago, maybe within the last 6 months or something, maybe a little bit longer. But then just over the last couple days, me and Jenica have some people that we love, that they also, when we were married, they were members of the church, and over time, uh, one person fell away, and then the other person went along with them, and they've descended to a more and more worldly lifestyle. To the point where just recently they went to this place. It's a world class, destination, but it's known for um, its worldly nature. It's like a really bad place. It's a bad place. It's infamous for how bad it is. And we saw it. They posted videos, and it was especially disturbing because like the husband, like they were hanging out with like another couple, I guess. I don't know if they met them there or whatever, but they were hanging out with this other couple, and the girl from the other couple was like taking videos with the guy of our couple, and they were, I don't know. I was just like thinking to myself, like, dude, your wife is right there. She's okay with that. And I know that she probably was, but it's like, these are not appropriate videos to be taking. This is like really bad. And so it just like, it made me really sad to see them descend down yet another level. And I started to question, like, do I like want to see this anymore? Because it just like, it brings me bad feelings. They can do what they want. I'm not going to like, um, tell them what to do, but I don't know that I can witness it anymore because of how it makes me feel. So I haven't let them go, but there are some other people where I was like, okay, I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to think about this one, but there are some people I do need to let go. There's other people, both members of the church and non-members, that will just post like raunchy things, sex humor, potty humor, just really degraded content, and that's gotten to be too much. And in fact, some of them have posted on my timeline, like for example, wishing me a happy birthday and including like a really inappropriate picture, of somebody without clothes. And I'm like, my daughters are on here. They're on Facebook. They can see what you're posting. Do you think that that's appropriate for a general audience, or that it's even appropriate for me? You know that I'm a member of the church and you are too. And you're posting this on my timeline? Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, you think that that's okay? And this picture was not good. It was so inappropriate. Um, it made me upset, because like, even if my daughters weren't on Facebook, it's like I have my family and friends. Like, I don't need you posting that kind of picture. And it wasn't, she didn't have ill intent. This is someone that's always been friendly. It wasn't like to embarrass me or anything. It's just that their sense of humor and their values are just so out of whack that they think that that's okay and it's appropriate and becoming of a member of the church. And it's not. And so that's it. You know, so yesterday I let a few people go that just could not stop with this awful sense of humor and inappropriate things, drugs too, so it's like sex humor, potty humor, drugs, all the animalistic natural man stuff that people get into. But beyond that, so after letting a few people go that do that kind of stuff, I've had the question, okay, like, I still feel like there's more work I need to do. There's more people I need to just let go because they're just bringing me down spiritually, psychologically. But like, how should I do this? Because on the one hand, I want to be a good example. Potentially, maybe I'll share something in the future and it'll have an impact on them. Um, there's also like, you can watch somebody throughout their life and learn from that. So you may have somebody that was a member of the church and then they fall away, and you observe them and you notice patterns. And then it's beneficial to you because then you can use that information to help others. Maybe you become like a youth leader, or you work with the youth of the church, or your own family. You can like take what you've learned and then caution them or try and help steer them in the right direction. So there's value in watching other people and the choices that they make, and do you want to like cut that off? And I don't think that there's like an easy answer to that. I think that you have to pray about it. I'm going to share some things that I found that could be a guideline, words of the prophet and general authorities. But I have noticed patterns of people that fall away from the church. I think there's like different reasons people fall away from the church, but there's one trend kind of where you have people that are very noticeably trendy. They really fall in line with the trends of the world. They're like in lockstep with whatever the next fashion is, or restaurant or movie or game or entertainment. You know, they're always like the first ones to adopt whatever the trend is. And I've noticed that those type of people, a lot of times, will fall away from the church because they're more married to the world and to being popular than they are to the church. I've seen it time and time and time again. Um, that's not the only reason why people fall away, but I've noticed that as like a almost like an early warning system. It's like if you see somebody that's really really in tune with the trends, then I feel like that raises the risk of that person falling away from the church. Not saying that that they absolutely will, but it raises the risk, I think. So anyway, let me show you what I found in regards to friends and influences and stuff like that. Okay, so the first thing that came to mind was this talk by President Nelson. This is the October 2018 General Conference, his second General Conference as President of the Church. Sisters' participation in the gathering of Israel. And I'm sure that you'll remember this. We've actually talked about this before on the channel. But to the sisters of the church, and I think that this, we could do this too as men, if you're not a sister. Okay, so he gives 4 invitations. The first one is, I invite you to participate in a 10-day fast from social media and from any other media that bring negative and impure thoughts to your mind. So just what I was talking about. Pray to know which influences to remove during your fast. Now, at this point, I guess I've just been conditioned to, like, when I see the word influence and we're talking about social media, I instantly think of influencers like myself. I think there's good influencers, bad influencers. And so my mind just went to like influencers, like YouTube channels, podcasts, and, both individuals, but also like companies and social media outlets, But I'm starting to rethink this. And I think it's not just that, but it's at this individual level. What individuals in your life through their Facebook accounts, Instagram accounts, Snapchat, X, what individuals are there in your life that are bringing you down spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, etc.? So I'm kind of like looking at this invitation in a new way. Okay, continuing. The effect of your 10-day fast may surprise you. What do you notice after taking a break from perspectives of the world that have been wounding your spirit? Yeah, it's harming you. It's injuring your spirit. It's killing you. Is there a change in where you now want to spend your time and energy? Have any of your priorities shifted, even just a little? I urge you to record and follow through with each impression. Okay, so that's really good. And then I did a search in the Scripture Citation Index, which allows you to search General Conference talks going back to 1942. And I came across this, Making the Right Decisions, April 1991 General Conference, Elder Richard G. Scott of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. And about halfway through the talk, he says, how can you keep your resolve to live worthily? How can you be sure that your resolve will not be eroded by the pressures around you? Choose good friends. So he has like a list of things, but this is the first thing on the list. Just like President Nelson, it's interesting how the first thing that they include on their list is influences and friends. So choose good friends. Those who have made similar decisions in their lives, those like yourself who are wise enough to live a life of order and restraint. When one gets off track, it is generally because the other kind of friends were chosen. Be surrounded by true friends who accept you the way you are and leave you better because of their association. So there's so much compacted into this, so those who have made similar decisions. He's not talking about like they like soccer and you like football. He's talking about people that make bad decisions, that break the commandments, and those that don't. You stick with people that are spiritually similar to you, right? Um, and how it has an effect on you. The people that you have around you affect you, to where it can get you off track. It can get you off the straight and narrow path, and you can lose your exaltation, because you allow them to influence you and you go along with them, because you're not a dead thing. You can choose. It's like you go along with them. That's the first choice. And then you stay with them. That's the second choice. And then be surrounded by true friends who accept you the way you are. So in other words, people that respect your beliefs, people that aren't trying to manipulate you or shame you into believing the way that they do. And then on top of that, friends that leave you better off because of their association. They lift you up spiritually instead of drag you down. And I feel like that's what I've been experiencing, and that's what I need to think about as I consider how I'm going to move forward with my social media accounts. Do they lift you up, or do they bring you down? Do they shame you, make fun of you because of your beliefs? You know, maybe they cut you off. Like you'll still be friends on social media, but they cut you off. They don't interact with you because they don't like your values. So, okay. And then the last one that I have is from the October 2007 General Conference. Today is the time, by Elder Walter F. González of the Presidency of the 70. And this is kind of toward the end of his talk. In a world that increasingly demands more of our time, it is essential that we take time to ponder in our homes so that we may understand divine doctrine and its principles. As the Savior said, "Go ye unto your homes and ponder upon these things, that ye may understand and prepare your minds for the morrow." By so doing, our exposure to doctrine and its principles will continue to be enhanced if we also hearken to the Lord's admonition about bad influences. It is very likely that there are people who pressure us to act or think in a way such that future quakes will find us inappropriately prepared. Regarding this, the Savior gave us a key, a key which will help us better prepare today for the coming vicissitudes. He said, "Therefore, if thy hand offend thee, cut it off. Or if thy brother offend thee, and confess not and forsake not, he shall be cut off." It's from Joseph Smith translation, Mark 9:40. Fortunately, the Savior himself taught the meaning of cutting off our hand. just in case it wasn't clear, don't actually cut off your hand, you guys. Some people I have to wonder. It's not about self-mutilation, but rather about removing from our lives today those influences that keep us from preparing for tomorrow's earthquakes. If I have friends who are bad influences for me, the advice is clear. It is better for thee to enter into life without thy brother than for thee and thy brother to be cast into hell. Joseph Smith translation, Mark 9:41. And that's hard, isn't it? Because we don't want to be, like socially, we don't want to be cast aside. We don't want to be losers. We don't want to be loners. We don't want to be peer pressured by a group of quote unquote friends. We want to fit in. We want to survive socially. But you're not going to survive spiritually if you stick with people that are bad influences. It's better for you to be a loner or to be alone than to be with a group of friends that are going to bring you along with them to hell. So it's a hard choice, but that's what this gospel is about. We have to sacrifice things. We have to sacrifice our animal behaviors, our natural man behaviors. We have to, and in this case, sometimes sacrifice people that are not good for us. Okay, continuing. The Lord applied this same principle when warning Nephi to depart from his brethren who became a dangerous influence. See 2 Nephi 5 verse 5. Yeah, that's another thing you'll notice in the scriptures, you'll notice in the early days of the church, that there's this theme of having to leave because it's dangerous if you stay. So a lot of times it's physically dangerous to stay, like when you're reading the scriptures or looking at the early days of the church, but it can also be spiritually dangerous to stay. You know? Yeah, so there's this theme about, you know, you're in a place for so long, but then it gets so bad that you have to leave. Whether it's for physical reasons, and or for spiritual reasons. So I think that we can apply this to our own lives when it comes to individuals. It's like you're friends with them, but then things get to a certain point where it starts to become spiritually dangerous for you. And depending on who it is, they could become physically dangerous to you. If you have somebody in your life that is an abuser, you know, whether it's physical, sexual, psychological, emotional, financial, all the different types of abuses, it can be that too, both spiritual and all those types of abuse. You need to leave. All right. It follows that such cutting off refers only to not only to friends, but to every bad influence, such as inappropriate television shows, internet sites, movies, literature, games, or music. Engraving in our souls this principle will help us to resist the temptation to yield to any bad influence. Yeah, and then that's the other side of it is, aside from just people, like you look around your house and do you have filthy images or disturbing images, you know, on album covers or Blu-ray covers or books or, you know, images, sounds, music, just dirty, filthy things. Things that you wouldn't want to have in your house if you're trying to make your house like a temple, right? We really need to think about like the clothing that we wear, you know, the graphic t-shirts that have like a band and it's not a good band and it's not good artwork that's on the t-shirt, posters, whatever. And I feel like there's too many people that are too lax when it comes to those things. And you know, maybe unbeknownst to them, it's affecting them spiritually. It's affecting the atmosphere in the home and it's driving away the spirit. And that's another thing that I've been doing. I've kind of slowly just been turning away from a lot of entertainment that I would have consumed maybe even just like a couple years ago. I'm not watching the same movies and TV shows, and I think I'm on a better path, and it feels good to cast that stuff out. It's casting out Satan in a way. But anyway, excuse me. So yeah, that's all that I have for this one. Just, I think we really need to take a hard look at what's influencing us and what's contaminating our emotional space, our physical space. And we need to try and live a holy life, a life of of peace and stability and harmony, you know, harmony with the gospel. So, well, that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. Like this video if you liked it. Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.